Question number 10, Clare Curran.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Māori Development. When he met with the Chief Executive of Māori Television in May, did he or his office discuss the planned Native Affairs debate on Whānau Ora?
Speaker.
The Honourable Te Ura Whānau.
Mr Speaker, kia ora tātou. In answer to the question, no. I met with the CEO of Māori Television once in May 2015, and the meeting itself had been confirmed in my diary since February 2015, where I believe I had my first meeting with him. I did not discuss and do not discuss planned news items or editorial decisions, as those are matters for staff of Māori Television to consider.
Supplementary question, Clare Curran.
Did his press secretary question the format and offer alternative suggestions for a proposed Native Affairs debate regarding Whānau Ora that was to have occurred on Māori Television on the 1st of June 2015?
Honourable Te Ura Whānau.
Mr Speaker, I'm advised that my media secretary had communications with the associate producer of Māori Television for the purposes regarding to clarify the purpose of the panel, and having been the purpose of the panel and having been told by Māori Television it was to discuss Whānau Ora and about its details, she questioned whether a panel of MPs, including from New Zealand First, who have clearly never understood what it is all about in any detail, would achieve the stated purpose. Mr Speaker, in that, Mr Speaker,
I have a point of order from the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Now, Mr Speaker, it is well known that a minister cannot seek to answer and lay out the policy of another political party, particularly when it's so demonstrably false.
Order. Order.
Speaking to the point of order.
I just want to rule on the point made by the Right Honourable Winston Peters, because on this occasion he's right. In answering... Order. In answering a question, it just does not help the order of the House to take the opportunity to in any way criticise another political party.
Order.
Speaking to the point of order, the Honourable
Mr Speaker, the questioner asked whether around discussions that might have had with my press secretary, I provided direct information.
The member will now, Minister will resume seat. No problem with that part of the answer. The part that caused a little disruption in the House was the reference to whether another political party understood the purposes of Whānau Ora or not. That was not helpful, and is not actually within accordance with standing orders.
Point of order, Mr Speaker. Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Order.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Is this a fresh point of order, or
yes,
we still
completely separate point of order, Mr Speaker.
I'll hear it. The Honourable
Mr
David.
Speaker, there was a degree of to and fro across the crossbenches, which made it difficult for members here to hear the Minister's initial reply, and I wonder if it would be possible for the Minister to repeat his reply to the previous supplementary.
Well, if the member's saying that he didn't hear that, I heard most of the answer without any difficulty, but I've got to accept the member's word. Would the Minister please re-give his answer without the part that's caused some difficulty in the last
I did my best, Mr Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Te Ura Whānau.
Mr Speaker, in answer to the question, I'm advised that my media secretary had communications with the associate producer of Māori Television to clarify what the purpose of the panel was, and having been told by Māori Television it was to discuss what Whānau Ora was about in detail, she questioned whether a panel of MPs, including New Zealand First, for those other statements, would achieve the stated purpose. Mr Speaker, the note continues. In the same discussion thread with Māori Television, my media secretary also confirmed that I was happy to be interviewed on the Whānau Ora story, and that is because, sir, I do not shirk my responsibilities and would have no difficulty in answering questions around the value of Whānau Ora because it has benefited so many family lives throughout the country.
Supplement.
Point of order.
A point of order, Clare Curran.
Thank you. I seek leave to table emails dated May the 14th and May the 19th, 2015, between the Minister's Press Secretary and a Māori Television associate producer that offers alternative suggestions for the format and questions the need for New Zealand First to appear in the proposed Native Affairs debate regarding Whānau Ora that was to occur on 1st
Order. I
of
think the
June.
documents. Order. The document's now been more than adequately described. Leave is sought to table this particular email. Is there any objection? Yes. There is. Question number...
Supplementary.
Oh, we have further... Order. Supplementary question, Clare Curran.
When he told the Māori Affairs Select Committee this morning that neither he nor his office expressed a view about what should be screened or who should be approached to comment on Māori TV, why did he not admit then that his own press secretary had indeed engaged in an email discussion with a Native Affairs producer about what should be screened and who should be approached to comment?
The Honourable Te Ora Flavel.
Mr Speaker, it's pretty simple that I did not believe that the communications between my press secretary and indeed Māori Television did what the member just said.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, Clare Curran.
Supplementary to the Minister. Is it correct that on the afternoon of the 20th of May 2015, just after he met with the CEO of Māori Television, Paora Maxwell, that the planned debate regarding Whānau Ora was cancelled?
The Honourable Te Ora Flavel.
That's very insightful, Mr Speaker, and the answer is yes, it was cancelled. We were notified on that date, having also told Māori Television on the 14th that I was prepared to appear on that program.
Point of order.
Order. Point of order, Clare Curran.
Thank you. I seek leave to table an email dated the 20th of May 2015 at 3:13 p.m. from the producer of Native Affairs. The proposed debate on Whānau Ora had been cancelled due to a change in programming strategy.
Resume her seat. The email's been described adequately. I'm putting the leave is sought to table it. Is there any objection? Yep, she read it out. There is. Question.
Supplementary. Supplementary. Sorry, point of order, Mr Speaker. Point of order.
Order. Point of order, Clare Curran.
I seek leave to table an email from Paora Maxwell dated May 22, 2015 that he met with the Minister of Māori Development on Wednesday, May the 20th.
Order. Leave is sought to table that particular email. Is there any objection? No. There is objection.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Clare Curran. Order. If your member wants to ask us up, get on with it.
Thank you. Can he unequivocally assure this House that he has complied with Section 10 of the Māori Television Service Act that states that, quote, a minister or any person acting by or on behalf of or at the direction of any minister must not direct the service in respect of the preparation or presentation of current affairs programs?
Honourable Te Ora Flavel.
Absolutely.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Clare Curran.
Did he post a tweet on the 8th of June in response to Graham Cameron that he had never been invited to talk to the Native Affairs program about the Whānau Ora program?
Honourable Te Ora Flavel.
I won't be sure, but I think I did do a tweet and confirmed that I had not been invited, as the communication that the member talked about was through my press secretary. It had not arrived to me, and I stand by what I said.
Point of order.
Order. Order.
Point of order.
Point of order, Clare Curran.
I seek leave to table a copy of the 8th of June tweet by the Minister in response to Graham Cameron.
Leave us sought to table that particular information. Is there any objection? There is objection. There is objection.
Supplementary.
Order. Order. Members on this side are trying to ask a supplementary question. Supplementary question, Clare Curran.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Is he concerned about the claims of continued editorial interference with the Native Affairs program, including stories on Whānau Ora and Kohanga Reo? And if he is concerned and is not a party to this editorial interference as he claims, why has he not investigated these allegations or raised them with the CEO and chair of Māori Television?
The Honourable Te Ura Flavel, any of those 3 supplementary questions?
Mr Speaker, those issues are matters for both the Board and the Chief Executive. They're not the prerogative of the Minister.
Question number 11, Ron Mark.
Thank you, Mr.